Hello everyone, welcome to the Seric Papers. Today I'd like to discuss the issue of rest mass in the general relativity theory and why, if rest mass would exist, 1 times 0 would also equal 1. So let's go to the nature of mass. EMC square would mean mass would always reach infinity in vacuum. So Einstein postulated the rest mass of photon is 0. So kind of physics breathed a sigh of relief and thought everything was done. But this is one of the most absurd corrections to a flawed theory. This would mean 1 times 0 equals 1. Multiplications in physics mean the same time. Again, multiplications mean the same time. When two phenomena are connected at the same time, then we have a third phenomena. A times B is C. A times B is not B. A times B is not A. It is always a third phenomena. In case you have not noticed, all laws of physics are multiplications. So that's why the word times shows up for multiplication. Somebody already knew that multiplication means at the same time. So a rest mass being 0 is absurd because when this mass moves, it is something bigger than 0. Otherwise, EMC squared would always stay in the dilapidated zone of 0. So how can this transition from 0 to non-zero happen or be at the same time? You're moving along and all of a sudden 0 becomes something. So at some point, something and nothing has to exist at the same time. This is the exact reason that 1 times 0 is 0 and not 1 times 0 is 1. A little later, I will show you the reason why EM v square half and EMC square are the same. And yes, a photon velocity can be 0 and any other speed, as long as it's not traveling in a wave. You can have an electron that is basically at 0 Kelvin, and that electron, you move it up a little and jolt it a little bit, it will emit light. And that basically tells you that the photon was 0 at some point in its velocity. So moving on, what's the explanation to all this? And I've already done a video on it, but I'm just going to recap here in case you're here for the first time. The constant speed of light, irrespective of the emitting speed, has something to do with that the electron is made out of atoms. There's a lot of atoms. There's negative and positive atoms. And when this electron gets jolted, they spin off the electron and will naturally fly in a helix form. And this helix form is reinforced because each of these little particles have a charge. And this charge creates its own magnetic field. And as it starts spinning, it creates a self-sustaining magnetic field. And these charges have a mass. They have a constant mass and a constant charge. And so if you do the equation of the centrifugal force has to be balanced by the electrostatic force. Of course, it is as a magnetic force in this case, but a magnetic force always comes out of a moving electrostatic force. So if you say it's moving full at the speed of light, you can just as well use that equation, and it's a lot easier to handle. So fundamentally, then you dissolve the equation to v squared, and then you can very quickly see that you have q0 multiplied by the potential between these atoms, and they're pretty much the same, so that's pretty much why they're always the same, divided by m0. And this is why the speed of light is constant, because you're dealing with only constants. Of course, this helix is a little bit more complicated because and this I haven't actually shown all the details. I have a more detailed explanation on my Patreon side. So in case you're more interested in the details, you can go there. So fundamentally, I've shown you this helix, once it's off on its own, it takes on its own speed, and therefore the speed c is irrespective of the emitting body, at the speed of the emitting body, sorry. Just quickly, because I promised I'd tell you how EM, or the kinetic energy formula, flows into the EMC square, and is the same thing, just depending on how you designate the different speeds. So EMC square always is the axial speed along the x-axis. But in reality, as you can see out of this helix form, these particles are flying in a helix form. The simple form, so a helix basically in 2 dimensions is a sine wave. So you can see you have the x-axis and the y-axis, and this results in a speed of v2. Now, as you can see, if this y-axis and x-axis sine wave is symmetrical, then it's √2 times the axial speed. It's pretty simple math. I think everyone knows that. And then basically, if you then insert the √2c into the normal universal kinetic energy equation, you then have basically m √2c to the square divided by 2. Then you have 2 and 2 that can cancel each other out, and then you have mc squared. So that's basically pretty simple. So there's no mystery to this whole thing. Mass is not some weird form of energy. Mass is mass. And I'll do something on that later. It's just basically the same kinetic energy that everyone's used to, except a photon is something more than just one photon. It is a whole string, and I'm talking a whole string of atoms. But they work as one pretty much solid, not quite solid, photon, because they're highly deeply connected over this huge, strong little magnetic field that's flying in this helix. So that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you soon, and I hope this was kind of helpful. And especially, very little people really fully understand 1 times 0 is 0, and that's fundamental to physics. So good luck. Talk to you soon. See you soon. Thanks. Bye.